Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Our Community Cares. I'm Daniella Levine Cava, County Commissioner, District 8 in Miami-Dade County, and we have been bringing you these public affairs shows for 4 weeks now. We have had a really great run. We've heard from Nikki Freed, our Agriculture Commissioner for the state, Rick Beasley, the head of Career Source South Florida, attorneys from Legal Services of Greater Miami, the head of mental health services for CHI, Community Health. And most recently, we heard from Dr. Erin Kobetz, the person in charge of the COVID-19 immunological public health study being conducted in Miami-Dade County. It's a groundbreaking effort that we're bringing to the county and for the country to understand the incidence of coronavirus in our community. So it's been really a wonderful series, and we're grateful to all of our. I hope that if you've not had a chance to hear some of the previous shows, that you could go back to our Facebook archives and take a look. And all of this is about helping our community to cope with the COVID-19 new era. How is it affecting all of us? And we know that it is. Our worlds have changed forever. Today, we are bringing you a very important segment with two wonderful ladies from the United Way of Miami-Dade County who are leading efforts to help the community cope. This is communities that are particularly low income or have difficulty accessing basic services, and they are doing a great job to channel philanthropic efforts of our community for the benefit of those who are suffering the most. So I'm looking forward to hearing from them. And I'm sure we will all be the wiser for it, and hopefully we can share this information with others as well as contribute if we are able. So first, let me introduce the two of you. We have Karina Roy. She's the director of the United Way Center for Financial Stability, and Elizabeth or Beth Berglin. She is our United Way Policy Director. So welcome, Karina. Welcome, Beth. Let's start with you, Karina. So Karina, you and I have had an opportunity to work together on financial stability for Miami-Dade County long before we even knew about pandemics. So I know that you come well prepared to help us cope with this pandemic. Can you tell us how the United Way has responded to the pandemic?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much, Commissioner, for giving us this opportunity. It's actually a really a unique opportunity, I think, to be able to tell us a little bit about all that we are doing generally, and especially now with this current crisis. So historically, the United Way is dedicated to helping community members, especially the most needy in our community, to help with all kinds of needs. And for 95 years, we have been rising to the occasion and responding to all the emergency needs, particularly when it comes to times of crisis. And we have experienced doing this. The most recent effort was in response to Hurricane Irma, for example. And during this time, some of the first things that we do is we assess the situation, we support the community-based organizations that we support on a regular basis. We support them with whatever we can. We address critical needs in the community, which many times is food insecurity. And we also consider activating community-wide emergency response initiatives. So thus far for us, some of the things that we've done, in addition to helping our partner agencies, is we've helped with food security drives, all kinds of things. For older adults, for example, we activated a phone bank to help inform them of their care centers closures, and that helped to deliver over 10,000 meals to 1,700 older adults. For youth, for example, we have partnered with Miami-Dade Public Schools to deliver thousands of meals, including 1,100 infant and newborn care packages to early Head Start families. In addition to that, for families generally, individuals and families in general, we also have had a couple of, we've had one drive-through. We've hosted one drive-through at our campus, and we distributed 40 pounds of food, helping more than 200 families. And we're actually looking forward to doing that again in the coming weeks. And we've partnered with local restaurants, that sort of a thing. that's the kinds of things that we immediately jump to, right? Be able to help people with the most urgent critical needs. But one of the biggest advantages of being a part of the United Way family is that we're able to link arms with other community organizations across sectors, partners across sectors, and we decide if we're going to launch a community-wide effort that has been operating now since 1998. It's an effort that is a partnership with the Miami Herald, El Nuevo Herald, and it's called Operation Helping Hands. So typically this happens after a natural disaster, but we've seen the need to activate it now as after the COVID-19 pandemic, because while it's not a natural disaster, it is leaving our community in unprecedented economic turmoil. And so we went ahead and we activated Operation Helping Hands in March 18th. And what that does basically is it's an initiative that helps us to raise funds and also to recruit volunteers that are going to help us deal with crisis recovery and relief efforts. So this year in particular, it's been very exciting because when we activated Operation Helping Hands, we actually had a collaborative of other local funders who decided that they were going to actually pull together to respond to this work. And together they've established the Miami Pandemic Response Fund. So on that slide there, you can see Operation Helping Hands and all the different partners that have come together to support this fund.
Excellent. Well, I know so many people have contacted our office asking how they can help. Obviously, a lot of people are calling because they need help, but others are available to give help. And so this is a wonderful example. So they can sign up to volunteer as well as to donate. Can you tell us a little bit more about the kinds of things that volunteers could do?
Yes, I'd love to. And actually, Beth, if you can share the next slide, there's so at United Way, we believe in working on these things together. We believe that united, we can do more good than if we're just doing our own individual things. And so one of the things that we do is we provide resources where needed, especially if there's gaps in resources, but we always also provide volunteer opportunities where people can actually come and serve alongside us. So what you see there is, for a lot of the resources that I'm going to be sharing with you today, please go ahead to our United Way website. On the front page right there, you'll see that there's a link to our COVID-19 resources, and we update that regularly. And so we want to make sure that whatever programs are going on in our community, people are able to access it right on our website. So that's number one. The other thing is, in terms of volunteer opportunities, Beth is actually going to speak a little bit more to that, but we do have a website, volunteermiami.org, where all the opportunities are listed and updated on a regular basis. So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the fund, because that is, I think, one of the resources that people might be especially keen on. Can I go into the fund?
That would be great.
Okay,
Thank you very
perfect.
much.
So the Miami Pandemic Response Fund, as I said, it was really a collaborative effort, and it really is philanthropy for the hardest hit. So one of the things that we do, we focus on 3 different impact areas generally at United Way. One of them is financial stability. And so we understand that in our community, 6 out of 10 people are either in poverty or living paycheck to paycheck. Our community is also very vulnerable because not only are people living paycheck to paycheck, but that means that they also don't have access to a lot of short-term savings. And actually, if you look at our communities of color in Miami-Dade, up to 74% of people of color, Black and Latino populations, do not have cash on hand to sustain themselves for 3 months. That is a huge part of the population, right? And so what we saw is that one of the critical needs for our community right now is going to be cash assistance. So the Miami Pandemic Response Fund is dedicated not just to helping individuals and families. We will also be creating something, we're working on something for small businesses. But right now, as a part of the help for individuals and families, a portion of it is called the Miami Pandemic Assistance Program. That particular program, you can access it, again, on our website, on the resource page, you can access it there. That particular fund is emergency financial assistance, just what that sounds like. So anybody who is a Miami-Dade resident, anybody who has been affected by the pandemic, we are encouraging every household to consider applying for that fund if they need those emergency funds. We're partnering with a network of very strong organizations who are going to be helping us vet all the applications through that process. And given the volume of need and interest that we've seen already, the process is taking a little bit longer than what we initially would have hoped for, but it's happening. And so I would just suggest that people who are in need of emergency assistance, if you're not able to get assistance through any of the other programs that we might mention today or that you might know about, please go ahead and consider that one, and you're able to access it online.
Thank you so much, Karina. And how much assistance can a particular family anticipate from this fund? Do you have a range or an amount?
That's a great question. So in the app, so when you go on the website, it's actually a request. It is not the full-on application. It only takes it should take less than 15 minutes to fill out, and it's just general information. And what we are asking people to do is just to enter the dollar amount that they need and explain to us obviously what they need it for. And then the agencies are going to be looking at that individually. So I wouldn't want to give you an exact number because I wouldn't want to dissuade people who maybe might have a higher need or something like that from
Yeah.
stating that in the application. Obviously there's limited funds and there's a lot of demand. So the agencies that are working with us are helping us to make sure that we're really prioritizing the most urgent cases.
Great. Thank you so much. And I know you are working with great who will reach out, right, to the individuals. So that is very, very helpful.
Yes, exactly.
So should we turn to Beth at this time and talk a little bit about what's going on with the United Way's efforts to help during this crisis dealing with, for example, social distancing, which is putting a big strain on our older adults in particular. So Beth, can you tell us a little bit about what the United Way is doing to help out with that, and also with the CARES Act, any update on those programs and how you're helping people to access those programs?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So thank you so much for having us again. You know, as Karina mentioned, a lot of the things that we're working on right now programmatically are really surrounded with food. You know, older adults in particular have really been impacted by the needs of social distancing, you know, in terms of access to groceries and healthcare and information. So a lot of the work that has been done has been making sure that, you know, in some cases, making sure that older adults have access to computers or smartphones in order to place online grocery orders. You know, a lot of the work that we've done, the very beginning was ensuring that adults who receive some of their meals during the week at a senior center, we reached out, we activated a phone bank with some staff and volunteers, called 1,700 adults in the community and transferred them from receiving those meals at their local senior center to receiving weekly home delivered meals. And, you know, a lot of those people, didn't answer the phone. And so it was a lot of back and forth and making sure that their agencies they were able to get back to their agency and make sure that their agency had information about who has been contacted and who hasn't, and how to reach those people. You know, and for people that can't afford food or just don't have someone to help them out with groceries, we want to remind everyone that 311 is the #1 place to call for older adults. And we know that call times can be long, but we encourage everyone to keep trying, because it really is the #1 place for older adults to get services. Agencies that are working with the county, like the United Way, Feeding South Florida, the Alliance for Aging, are all working with 311 to make sure that people have access to what they need. When they call there, the operator will ask a series of questions. One of them is whether or not the older adult was receiving meals from a senior center before. And then the agency will get them connected to make sure that they are going to receive meals at home.
Great, great. So I know, obviously at the county, this is a big part of the response. So great to know that the county is partnering with United Way on this, and over 1 million meals have been delivered to seniors in our community, which is quite extraordinary. So we have a real commitment to making sure that our seniors get the food that they need. Okay, so let's move on to the federal government and the response. So we have the CARES Act. It includes a lot of financial resources for individuals and businesses, expanded unemployment, and relief checks. Can you give us an update about how these programs are going?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to share my screen one more time. So one of the things that with the CARES Act, some of the things that the United Way was able to fight for and secure was increases for WIC, child nutrition programs, suspension of the SNAP work requirements. We were able to ensure that nonprofits were eligible to apply for all of the small business supports that were included in the emergency loan applications. We were able to secure $200 million for the emergency food and shelter program, which has just been activated. So there are quite a few things that, United Ways worldwide was fighting for, and we were able to secure for nonprofits. The CARES Act, of course, included a whole lot of things for businesses, but also for individuals, particularly, updates to, expansions to the unemployment program, which include, an extra $600 a week for 4 months for anyone who was impacted by this, an additional 13 weeks of payments, which in Florida brings us up to 29. Includes freelancers, gig workers, contractors. And we heard at the very beginning, it wasn't going well in Florida. The system was having a very hard time. It was only built to process about 6,000 applications per week. But at this point, the system has been updated. They've added, I believe, 500 people on state employees who are able to switch from their job that they were doing previously to now processing unemployment applications. So now applications are accepted online and by paper. There was a mobile app, well, not a mobile app, but the state online system has now been made mobile friendly, so that people who don't have access to laptops or desktop computers can do it on their phone. And FedEx is actually printing and mailing the applications to Tallahassee for free. So anyone who was able to fill out the application on a computer can get it printed and email and get it mailed to Tallahassee for free by FedEx.
Great, thank you so much. Let me just mention a couple of things here. The county as well has been printing out the applications and making them available at 20 libraries, and almost 80,000 of those applications have been picked up, which is really extraordinary. So clearly the demand is large, and the system, unfortunately, is still quite overwhelmed. So people are having difficulty, but they do need to press forward. And I know I have a long list of things that need to be fixed. And I want to thank the listeners. We've got actually a couple of questions posted, and one is from someone who says, it's been 7 days and haven't heard back. And when will they expect to get a response? And it's been extremely, extremely frustrating. Do you have any advice for those people, what to do, how to get through?
I do. So if they've already applied and they're just waiting on a response, what I would say is they went from 6,000 applications per week to the ability to process 80,000 applications per week. But with 17 million people in the country applying for unemployment in the past 3 weeks, there's a whole lot of people in line. And I would just say be patient. And I know that it's extremely frustrating, but no state in the nation was prepared for this. No one was ready for this amount of callers. And it's scary to have to sit and wait when you know nothing. But I think that if you can be patient and wait, I hope on that, the federal relief checks, the economic impact payments, started getting deposited today. So anyone who qualifies for them, if you've already filed your 2019 taxes, $1,200 for each adult who files taxes, who earns under $75,000 a year, plus $500 for each child. That money hopefully will go somewhat far. But if you haven't filed your taxes yet, if you have any situations that are not straightforward, if you've moved since the last time you filed taxes, if you changed banks, if you didn't include your direct deposit information, I'm going to share my screen one more time so that we can see this. The IRS has recently just put up a new page on their website, irs.gov/EIP. And that is where you would go to find out any information about the economic impact payments. Anyone who typically doesn't file their taxes, for example, if you earn under $12,000 per year, or if you have other mitigating circumstances, there are places on that website where now you can go and you can update your information simply. They're calling it a quick form, where it, it says non-filers, enter your payment info here. There is a place on the website where you can enter your direct deposit information, your new address, anything like that, where you can quickly and easily update your contact information.
Great, thank you for that. And so let's look ahead. There's going to be a fourth COVID relief bill. And what is United Way hoping will be included in that? Some of the things that have not yet been covered in the previous bills.
Yeah, so there have been 3 major pieces of legislation already passed that provided economic relief for families and children. But as the scale of devastation grows, as you know, it's clear that additional supports are needed. A lot of families were left out of the CARES Act. Many families will not receive checks if they have one member of their family who doesn't have a Social Security number on their most recent tax filing. That family is going to be left out. It's a huge concern for our community. Anyone who is a non-filer won't know that they can receive payments if they don't know about this information from the IRS.
Beth, could I add something to that, Beth?
Of course.
So one of the things that I think is really critical during this time, number one, I think for our community in general, this is the time when you really need to advocate for yourself. The fact is that we're now relying on systems that have already had issues, and now we're having, the problem of additional volume. And so what I would suggest to the community in general is align yourself with organizations that are handling this. There's plenty of organizations that make it their mission every day to make sure that they're updated and they're learning how to navigate the systems and they're learning kind of the tips and tricks of it all. And so if at all possible, I would suggest to the community that they align themselves with organizations. If you're looking, for example, for tax information, there's a website that actually we have updated and put together called MiamiTaxGuide.com. It was actually on our slide earlier. And if you're looking for tax specific information, that is the best place for you to go. It has updated information. There's even, support if you actually need to talk to someone about a specific situation. If you're looking, for example, for more information around the reemployment benefits and that kind of a thing, align yourself with Career Source South Florida or other organizations that focus on employment types of programs. Youth Co-op, for example, is another nonprofit that typically works in this space. The people who have already been working in these spaces are the best suited to now be able to navigate these new programs and these new systems. And so if you submitted applications, that's great. If you've done your research on your own, you've done the best that you could on your own, great. It doesn't hurt to also hook up with one of these organizations to make sure that what you did was correct, that maybe there's no other resources that you could be applying for at this time. And they themselves will be able to tell you, hey, the long wait that you're experiencing, it's normal, don't worry about it. This is, you know, and so I just think it's important that we understand that we're not in this alone. There's so many people that are dedicated, even now, working for nonprofits, working for government, trying to make sure that we get the resources to people who need it the most. And so you as a consumer, a community member at home, I would suggest that you make sure that you reach out, call 211, call 311, everything you can think of, Google, right? Nowadays, the internet is even available, right? The companies have made hotspots open now. So we should all be able to access information, get the information, align yourself with people, and just make sure that you kind of keep at it for now, because I think that we need to really be looking at financially preparing for the next 2 or 3 months, right? And so at this point in time, if you can at least make sure that you're maximizing your resources that are out there, that'll help you at least to figure out what's going to happen for the next 2 or 3 months.
Thank you, Karina. And, you know, some of our listeners are pointing out that there may be a need for emergency food in the interim. You've got the resource, the Pandemic Fund at the United Way. That's only as big as the donations that come to you, the stimulus checks, you know, hopefully coming. But in the meantime, there is an extraordinary effort going on in the community with food distribution. And unfortunately, it means often being in line for long periods of time. I was part of a food distribution with Farm Share yesterday in Cutler Bay. We served about 600 families. Some of them did come from early hours of the morning, unfortunately, and spend a long, long time. But others were able to get through the line after just coming, you know, in the morning hours, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and get through by 12. You know, a big effort, but it was about a week's worth of groceries. And so for those who are dependent upon it, that does also exist. Farm Share posts all of their events on their website, and the county as well is posting those. Let me ask you another question that came up. I'm not sure, Karina or Beth, who should better answer, but the question is college students. What are they eligible for, both in terms of the checks or any other, you know, the one-time payments, or in terms of unemployment or any other funds? What can a college student expect?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of unemployment, I mean, if you were previously employed, you qualify for unemployment. Anyone whose hours have been even reduced, even if you're not completely laid off, anyone whose hours have been reduced should be encouraged to apply for unemployment at this time. As Karina said, the system can be frustrating, but keep trying, because it's important that we all have access to the resources that we can get. I do know that there is a workaround with the relief checks for college students, and I would be happy to send that to your staff after the call, so you can set it out.
Great. Okay, so there is some specific relief, I know, in terms of the also paying for your college loans for people that need relief. I think they're waiving interest, and you just pay the principal.
Right.
And of course you payment, so there's some relief for that, which is
Right.
great. Okay, so we have we're going to start to kind of wind down here. I want to remind our listeners that if you haven't yet posted your question or comment, please do so. Somebody did ask about testing, and I know it's not the topic of today per se, but we do have better access to testing than we've had from the early days. There are, you know, like a dozen test sites around the county. 311, you can register and get an appointment. All ages, you do need to express concern that you may have been exposed or you may have symptoms. So that would be true across the board, and those tests are free. They're not doing it on site necessarily for people in Section 8 or homeless, but the city of Miami has had, and Key Biscayne has had, and the county has just added that they will go to your home to do the test if you are homebound. So that is an innovation that is really helping a lot of people to get testing that couldn't otherwise. So I don't know if there's anything that either of you want to add to that question. Good. Okay, great. Well, it's 4:30. We try to keep these shows to about a half an hour. I'd like to ask if you have any closing remarks. Since you're on the screen, we'll go to you, Beth, and then we'll go to Karina.
Yeah, I just will put out one last piece of information about ways in which the United Way builds our community. And there are places, opportunities for people to volunteer currently that are both digital and in person. There's, as you mentioned, there's lots of food distribution opportunities. As the commissioner has been doing on her own Facebook stream, reading books to children, we have a volunteer initiative called Let's Read. You can see a picture of me reading a story with my daughter that we posted on Instagram and on Facebook. And then always, you know, the United Way Miami is Miami-Dade's county's Office of Emergency Management official volunteer location. So we are always looking for volunteers from May to November every year in preparation for any natural disasters.
Great, thank you so much. And someone's asking about where this information is posted. Of course, at unitedwaymiami.org. All this information is available. Also, the county, Miami-Dade County website has a whole section dedicated to COVID resources, and also my District 8 Commission website has all the resources that we've been sharing. So let's go to you, Karina. Any closing remarks?
Yes, I'd like to just highlight two things. One is that I think this is this kind of a situation is where we see the importance of having your finances organized and having some savings. And so I would just encourage families, households, use this time to actually discuss your finances together. Take some time to think about the upcoming months, plan a little bit, think about how you're going to work together to do this. It shouldn't be something that just parents have to kind of have to shoulder. Feel free to plan it out and then bring your children into the conversation. I really hope that it's an opportunity for folks to come together around their finances so they can build forward together. And then the other part that I was going to say is let's not forget that there are families that are also perhaps undocumented or have different needs, but our community is so great that there's folks that are supporting all kinds of groups. And so even for families that are undocumented, for example, there are organizations out there that are providing information about the different resources they can access. And so wherever you are and whatever your situation is, our community is very rich in, human resources, I think. And so look for help. You're not alone. There should be someone there that can guide.
Thank you so much, Karina. And I think it's very evident that the United Way is a critical part of our fabric of building community, dealing with crisis. And obviously, once again, United has stepped up, and your information shared is so very valuable, your words of encouragement. So thank you to both of you for joining us, and to the United Way, to your wonderful efforts. And let me say that we will be turning on Friday in a slightly different direction. We're going to be talking about our pets. So, many have said that this period is mostly benefiting the pets because they are very happy to have their owners often at home with their sheltering in place, safer at home. So if you don't have a pet and you are ready to bring that loved furry creature into your life, we want to encourage you. It's a great time to adopt or to foster. So both are available, short-term or long-term, to help out with the pets. They're looking for their wonderful new homes. And we are going to have a couple of great guests. Yolanda Berkowitz, she's a community advocate, founder and president of an organization called FOMA, Foundation, president of Friends of Miami Animals Foundation. And so she'll be telling us about some of the efforts to support rescues and help our pets in the community. And we'll have Melanie Ochoa, who's our marketing communications coordinator of the Humane Society of Greater Miami. And they do have pets available. They'll be telling us all about it. And I know they've waived a lot of fees in this time to encourage people. And we've done, actually, since this pandemic hit us, we've adopted out hundreds of animals in Miami-Dade County. So a very good time. If you don't have one, or if you want another, this is a great time. So I want to welcome you back on Friday at 4, same time, same place. And thank you again to our wonderful guests, Karina and Beth. And look, everybody, this is not a short-term situation. We know we have to continue to practice social distancing, be safe, the hygiene, and so on. So we know our economy is going to rebound, but it's going to take a little while. So we need to be there for each other. So please be safe, be strong, and be kind.